If you're watching this video and you haven't submitted your setups for Setup Wars, what are you doing with your life? In case you guys haven't noticed, I've been doing Setup Wars every single Monday, which means I've been catching up on the submissions. I'm currently doing the month of March, which is only like 2 months behind. So once I catch up, there's not gonna be a Setup Wars episodes because there's no more submissions to go through. So if you're watching this video and you haven't already submitted photos for your setup, please watch the video link below to find out how to enter. It's very simple. All I'm looking for are just very high quality pictures. That made no sense. I'm looking for high quality pictures, so make sure there's plenty of light. All that stuff is in the description section. But anyways, with that said, welcome to Setup Wars, episode 169. A lot of you guys have been waiting for that episode, I'm sure. In the comment section, you guys are gonna go crazy. Anyways, welcome to Setup Wars 169. Let the Setup Wars begin. The Corsair Iron RGB wireless gaming mouse features a powerfully precise optical gaming sensor with 18,000 DPI and 10 fully programmable buttons, allowing you to customize the way you play with powerful macros and key remaps. The ergonomic contoured shape is sculpted specifically for palm grips and large hands, and with Corsair's sub 1 millisecond wireless technology, you can ditch the cable without any compromises. Check the link below for more info. Kicking off the episode is Brandon from Kansas and this white themed setup featuring two 27-inch monitors from ASUS that he hooked up on the wall, and that piece of string running down the wall is actually hooked up to his VR headset, which is hanging on a pulley system. This way he doesn't trip on the wires when he's moving around while using the VR system. Very clever. I've actually only seen this one other time in a previous episode. Keeping with the white on black color scheme, we got the Corsair K70 SE keyboard, which is the one I'm using currently, and he's got the Razer Mamba Tournament Edition mouse, which is being supported by the ZOWIE mouse Bungee. For audio, he's got the HyperX Cloud Flight headset and a set of speakers from Arion. I think that's how you say it. Now, since the speakers are tall, he didn't have any extra space on the desk for them, so he placed them on the shelves, which isn't the best place to put them, but I guess he wanted to squeeze his giant PC on the desk. He also has a blue Snowball microphone mounted to a boom arm, but I feel like it gets in the way. I would try and mount the boom arm on the actual monitor mount if possible to give you a better angle. This is his first ever water-cooled build, so don't judge him on the bends. I think it actually came out really nice with that sexy distribution block and the chrome fittings. Not to mention the specs, this thing is packing some serious heat, or coolness, I guess. It's got the 9900K, 32 gigs of RAM, and the RTX 2080 Ti Founders Edition. Beautiful PC and a pretty good setup for gaming, streaming, and schoolwork. Thank you, Brandon, for entering. Next up is Mufasa from Canada and his RGB gaming setup. Every time I see 3 monitors, I'm hoping they use it for more than just gaming. It doesn't matter how nice it looks in any setup because it's always overkill. Thankfully, in Mostafa's case, he uses it for video editing as well. Since the desk is made out of glass, he's not able to drill a hole for the keyboard and mouse, and he didn't want to run the cables straight across, so instead, he ran them towards the right side. I would have at least tied the cables together using zip tie or Velcro. There isn't much else on the desk other than some Funko Pops and his Blue Yeti microphone that's mounted on the edge of the desk. There are no speakers for this setup, so he relies on his G933 headset that's chilling on the bench next to his PC, which is kind of tucked away in the corner over there. It's not the best looking PC with all those cables hanging out, so I don't mind it being tucked away, but it does pack a nice punch with a 7700K and the GTX 1060. The cables inside the PC may not be attractive to look at, but thankfully the rest of the cables from the setup are hidden using the Signum rack. I do want to know one thing though, and that is where on earth did you get that dope RGB lighting for the wall? If anyone knows what that is, please hit me up in the comment section. That thing looks sick. But yeah, it's a decent gaming and productivity setup. Thank you, Mostafa, for sharing it with us. Coming in at number 3 from Switzerland is Patrick Starr and his creative and super overkill gaming setup featuring 3 Alienware 34-inch ultra-wide monitors, and we also got a 35-inch ultra-wide up top. Now, what's creative about this desk is the backboard that he built to mount the monitors onto, and he actually built that wall onto the sit and stand desk, meaning he can move the entire thing up or down. He did it this way because he didn't want to keep the monitors on the desk, and I think it came out really nice. The only suggestion I have is painting the backboard in white or maybe adding some skins or a wallpaper so that it matches your desk, because the wood look kind of ruins the aesthetic of your setup. Keyboard and mouse are both from Logitech, and I gotta say I'm surprised that you didn't drill a hole for the wires, since everything else is pretty much modded. For audio, he's rocking a pair of Logitech G560 speakers and the Tufel Cage headphones, I don't even know how you say that, which are stored in an interesting location underneath the desk. It just seems like it's a little out of reach. However, I do like how he mounted the rest of the stuff under the desk, like the Nintendo Switch with the docking station, and in the middle he hooked up his audio jacks for his headset so that he can connect them easily without having to reach for his PC. Very nice. The boom arm holding his Rode NT microphone is tucked away behind one of the monitors, and unfortunately so is the PC. It's got a 7700 with 32 gigs of RAM and the Gigabyte RTX 2080 Ti. Cables are managed beautifully behind the backboard, and he even made some cutouts in the desk to route the cables for the speakers. Everything else is pretty much flawless. It's just missing a paint job or some skins on that backboard. But other than that, a beautifully executed setup. Thank you, Patrick, for entering. Also say hi to SpongeBob for me. Ryan from Philly makes a comeback from episode 149 with a slightly improved setup. My inner geek always comes out every time I see Final Fantasy related stuff. But anyways, back to the setup. So he's still rocking 3 of his monitors that are hooked up on the wall, and above that we got a wall shelf of Pokemon collectibles. I'm kidding, guys, relax. I feel like I have to always say I'm joking when I say stuff like that because there are a lot of people triggered in the comment section, always. Obviously, these are Gundam Wing models. Still using the same keyboard and mouse with the Corsair RGB mouse pad. One thing that is new, however, are the nanoleaf panels above his setup. He also replaced the storage container underneath the desk with a refrigerator and swapped out a few other miscellaneous tech. In fact, here is a picture of his old setup. Some things were moved around, new posters and skins on the consoles over there on the right side, with the addition of the wall mount for the controllers. Cable management also looks improved with the addition of a USB hub, and looks like we have the same PC from before, only it's a lot cleaner. I think it's great you went with a unique color scheme because I don't see many black and orange setups on the show. I mean, after all, it is an unattractive color. But regardless, thank you, Brandon, for coming back on the show. Wrapping up the episode is Will from Australia and his super clean triple monitor setup. So he's 16 years old and he uses this setup for gaming, graphic design, schoolwork, and sometimes he does bring in his racing gear. We got a single ultrawide in the middle being sandwiched by 2 27-inch BenQ monitors. Great choice mounting the ultrawide on the wall because this way he has extra space underneath it for the speakers and other gear. I don't know if the wall shelves were necessary for the other 2 speakers since they could have easily fit underneath the monitors, but I guess that's nice to have. I do love that you drilled 2 separate holes for the keyboard and the mouse with the mouse pad. Even the rest of the cables are managed well with the cable clips and zip ties, it looks like. On the right side, we got the PC powering the setup, and it's got some pretty good specs. We got the 6700 with the GTX 1070. I personally would have gone with the 6700K to take advantage of that cooler you have, but if you're not going to overclock it, then it makes sense to go with the non-K CPU. But that's pretty much it here. Very clean and organized. For a 16-year-old, this is actually a pretty badass setup. Thank you, Will, for entering. And that's it for this episode of Setup Wars. As always, make sure you guys vote in the comment section on who has the best desk setup. As always, if you guys enjoy the show, make sure to toss a like or dislike. I love your beautiful faces, and I will see you guys in the next one.